welcome to the Oregon Files podcast. This is our upfront disclaimer. We are amateur podcasters simply for entertainment. If we misquote or offend, it was not on purpose to do so. Also, we're recording from our dining rooms, kitchens, back patios, whatever have you, so you may hear kids, dogs, neighbors yelling, who knows. Thank you and enjoy, and here's Elliot Bowman.
Yay. Thanks, Mark. Episode 7. This is our...
Siete.
This is our Halloween edition. It's an exciting episode. It's fun. I think you'll all enjoy it. And Halloween traditions and some ghostly sites around Oregon. And then, of course, we have some good old Halloween dad jokes, because nothing says Halloween like some good old Halloween dad jokes.
I'm so excited for those.
Anyway.
All right.
Take us away, sir.
Yes. The first thing we'll do is we'll give some house cleaning here. Our sponsor right now is Video Game Plus and Level Up Frozen Yogurt. They're open 7 days a week off Stevens Street in Roseburg, Oregon. They have new flavors every month, some dairy-free, and over 50 toppings, including fresh fruit. And Elle, have you ever gone to Video Games Plus?
I go there probably about 4 times a week. I just go in there, just walk in, say hello, I'm here, and circle back out.
Do you build up like a lot of credit there that way?
Yeah. I have more store credit than I probably have in my bank account.
It's they're very fair with their prices. Yeah, the other gaming store in town, you're like, oh, but no, they're very fair.
No, I actually have a game on hold, or a game that's coming release this Thursday. I'll be there to pick it up. And
oh, very nice.
I love Video Games Plus. Been a customer for a long time.
Love it.
I'm not just saying that. I love you guys.
That's awesome.
I love you, man.
Good people there.
They are good people there.
All right. So for this Halloween episode, I kind of went back and forth on a couple different stories, but I landed on somebody who there's a lot of stuff that she's involved with. So I want to cover her. Her name's Bethenia Angelina Owens.
Sounds like a celebrity.
We'll start at the beginning here. In her early years, she was born on February 7th, 1840 in Van Buren County, Missouri. She was the third of 11 children.
Wow.
And she was, as a daughter of a large family, she was expected to help raise young siblings, and especially she enjoyed nursing the sick ones. Here's where it gets interesting. So the Owens family traveled to the Oregon country via the Oregon Trail in 1843.
Ooh.
We
learned about that last week.
So they were one of the first families. Yes, nice. On the Great Migration. So her family was one of the first ones to come over. This is from her own autobiography. She said, "My father and mother crossed the plains with the first immigrant wagons of 1843. They settled in is it Clatsop? Clatsop?
I think so.
I nailed it. At the mouth of the Columbia, they're very, she said her parents were very small and delicate in stature and of a highly nervous and sensitive nature, but she possessed a strong and vigorous constitution because she was only 3 years old when they made the trek over. So that's how they made it over there. The disruptions of pioneer life meant that Bethenia, I think it's Bethenia,
Bethany?
I'm gonna call her Beth for short. Yeah. Beth did not begin her formal education until age 12, and her studies were interrupted again when her family moved from Astoria to Roseburg.
I thought you were gonna say accidental shootings.
No, no accidental shootings. I know, but that was the Oregon Trail thing. Remember, wasn't it the third leading cause of death?
Yes, I love that story. Have you been to Astoria?
No, I've not.
That story is so cool.
It's
right on the Columbia.
Yes.
Yeah. They got good breweries. And you can literally spend all day just watching all the barges go up and down the Columbia. And then they have a really cool bridge that connects from Washington to Oregon. It's the Astoria Megler Bridge. Okay. If you've never seen it, you should look up pictures. But it's literally like you go over it, and then you're literally like parallel with the Columbia River when you're just driving over to Oregon or Washington, whichever way you're going. But it's really cool.
I would like to spend some time there.
Yeah, Astoria is really pretty. And it's where Goonies was filmed.
Yes.
So I don't think the Goonies house is open to public anymore, but you used to be able to like walk up and take pictures right by the Goonies house. And then they have like the film museum where they had like the opening scene of the Goonies. You can go in and you used to be able to make your own movie and then check out like the jail cell where the movie was filmed. But
that's awesome.
Short history on Astoria.
That's so. I know.
Super cool.
Was Lean on Me close to there too? Wasn't that? I know it was a story, but I know it's in Oregon.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
That's the other one they all talk about around here.
By Seaside, which is like a popular like touristy spot. It's got the boardwalk and the promenade, and then Tillamook is right by there too.
I know that the other Twilight. They filmed, I think, at least the first movie Twilight was filmed in and out of parts of Oregon too.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They filmed that. I know it's some of the smaller cities, but that, hey, there you go. Twilight, vampires, Halloween.
Yeah.
Nailed it. All right. So now at the age of 14, Beth is married to...
At 14?
Yes, 14. She's married to LeGrand Henderson Hill, one of her father's farmhands. They then moved to Eureka, California, so Hill could join the California Gold Rush. At age 16, she gave birth to her only son, named George. She married Mr. Hill in 1854. And her husband was described as a restless man with little inclination to work.
So he was lazy. A restless man.
Isn't that great? It's a nice way to say lazy.
Right.
The marriage was not a happy one. Her husband lost the family home to foreclosure and could not hold a job. The family suffered from poor living conditions and malnutrition, and Hill began to physically abuse his wife and child. Ugh. Fearing for George's well-being and her own, Beth divorced Hill in 1859, despite enormous social stigma against it. At age 19, with a 3-year-old son, she was divorced and had her maiden name legally restored, actually. In her book, she states, I was indeed surrounded with difficult, seemingly insurmountable life, and a husband for whom I had lost all love and respect, a divorce, and with a baby in her arms, all rose darkly before me. And then she was asked why she left her husband. She said, because he whipped my boy unmercifully, and struck and choked me, and I was never born to be struck by a mortal man.
Yikes.
Yeah, she was not having it. I like it. She says, nope.
You go, Beth. You get out of that.
Yep. So when she divorced Hill, Beth knew she would be protected by her parents, but she was an independent woman determined to provide for herself and her son, and worked washing clothes, sewing, and taught school so she could complete at least her education. And her schooling up to that point was scant. She was barely literate. So she eventually returned to Roseburg. So the family moves to Roseburg from Astoria. She leaves off and gets married, goes to Eureka, comes back. So in Roseburg, she returns to Roseburg in 1867 and began her professional life as an entrepreneur by opening a successful dressmaking and millinery business. Now, here's the funny part is she didn't know anything about it. She didn't know how to make a dress. She didn't know how to dye the hats, any of that kind of stuff. So what she did is she actually stood on top of her roof and with binoculars watched her competitors and how they did their job.
Wow.
Isn't that wild? I love that this lady, yeah. And she's still pretty young at this moment. So yeah, so she's running. She learns how to
just spying on them and taking notes.
Yeah. How do they were dyeing stuff? How long they leave stuff out to dry?
Super smart.
Oh, super smart. She also became involved with the women's suffrage movement. And her and another lady named Abigail Scott Dunaway organized Susan B. Anthony to visit Roseburg in 1871.
Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I thought
Did not know that.
I had no idea that Susan B. Anthony ever came to Roseburg.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Super fascinating. Dunaway, by the way, she was a woman's rights. She ran a women's rights newspaper called the New Northwest. Now, we're getting a little backstory here on the suffrage stuff. Beginning with the formation of local Equal Suffrage Association in 1870, the struggle for full voting rights for women took 42 years for them to get it done. The issue of voting rights, also called suffrage, for the women appeared on the state's ballot 6 times.
Dang.
1884, 1900, 1906, 1908, 1910, and 1912. It wasn't, and they barely won in 1912 with 51% of the men voting.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That is crazy.
And Oregon was sadly one of the last to join the Western states and territories in extending the voting to female citizens.
Shame on you, Oregon.
You know, Oregon just doesn't...
Not the progressive states, apparently, with that.
Not at all. Not having it. All right, so now we're getting some more stuff here on Beth. After 6 years in business in Roseburg, in 1873, she decided she wanted to become a doctor.
So she stood on the roof and watched people have surgery.
That would be amazing, yeah.
Stitches?
Yeah, stitches. What's going on over there? It's like, I'm going to guess. I can't see. Yeah.
Right.
When she told family and friends, they were strongly opposed, including her own son. Women were not meant to be doctors, especially in Oregon. Women in Oregon had few opportunities for medical education, period. She did find a local doctor who allowed her to borrow his medical books, one of them being Grey's Anatomy. So she
Love the show.
Is that, yeah. Wasn't that funny? Like all the DVD sets.
Right.
Hey, here's all the seasons of Grey's Anatomy. Get caught up if you want to be a doctor.
Right.
She began her preparation studying these books and providing lay care to her community. So she's reading these books and trying to treat the people of Roseburg. Sadly, though, doors were closed to Owens because she was female, and she confessed in her autobiography, "The regret of my life up to the age of 35 was that I had not been born a boy. For I realized very early in life that a girl was hampered in all sides simply by the accident of sex." So, good point of view.
Well, Beth sounds pretty awesome to me. So,
Oh yeah, she gets there. There's some good stuff coming up. This is she's a very fascinating lady, and I'm surprised I hadn't heard of her before.
Yeah.
She couldn't get educated in Oregon. There's also few options for women to acquire a medical education anywhere, and they've kind of forced them into like bloodletting. Like if you're going to do that, you're going to be a nurse. You're going to do, you're not allowed to actually treat anybody, but you can do bloodletting. You can do all the weird stuff, right?
like leeches?
Yes, bloodletting. They keep saying bloodletting. They called it, there's two different types of education at the time. A homeopathic medicine, which is medical philosophy and practice based on the idea that the body has the ability to heal itself. Okay. And then a branch of that is the eclectic stuff. So that's where you're, curing by herbs and that kind of stuff. So a lot of which is funny because a lot of Native American practices were eventually which I love America. We show up, we get rid of the Indians. Like, hey, what are you guys doing for medicine?
Right.
You know what? We're going to make that a branch of our thing. So you have this like homeopathic, eclectic type medicine where you're helping with plants. You're helping the body heal thyself, that sort of thing. But then you have the other ones are the grotesque, like, hey, no, I'm sorry, you just need to take a shot of whiskey and let that bleed out, So the amputation.
Sit in the sun for a little bit and hope the vitamin D cures your body.
Take a lye bath, yeah. Yeah, it's too soon. We're going to cut that arm off with a saw. We don't need antiseptic. In 1873, Owens arranged for George, her son, age 17. He actually had to go work at that newspaper with Abigail Scott Duniway. Well, Beth headed east and enrolled in the Eclectic Medical College of Pennsylvania, and she graduated a year later in 1874.
Nice.
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
Then she returns to Roseburg, where she opened up a practice. However, in Roseburg, she faced opposition from her male colleagues who sought to humiliate her by inviting her to an autopsy of a poor elderly man. So here's a guy, dead old guy. And you're like, yeah, why don't you go find out what caused the death was, right? Mm-hmm. She countered them by showing up, and when asked if she would perform the autopsy, she did so. A move that did not make her many fans. So yeah, it was became an issue of a desecration of a body. They didn't think she was going to do it. I mean, the cause of death was that he was elderly, but she still went and cut up the body to see if there was a different cause of death. Afterward, she decided to leave Roseburg and set up practice in Portland. But she was regarded with a measure of suspicion by the local medical community because the Eclectic Medical College in Pennsylvania, not good. It was considered somewhat not good. The dean was convicted of selling false degrees.
Oh, boy.
Remember, she graduated in a year.
Boy.
And because of the medicine she had been taught there, including medicated vapor baths, was unorthodox.
Medicated vapor baths.
Isn't that just vapor rub?
That's exactly what I think about.
I'm like, I still use that today.
I guess it's better than medicated viper baths.
That's true. Yeah, better than the viper baths. Yeah. Don't like snakes. I love it. It's pretty good. So in 1878, at age 38, she's in Portland. She's mainly taking care of women and children because that's all that would come see her because, male doctors were kind of, not the best. She was still pretty profitable. But she's going to leave a practice. So she's leaving her now. She already left the dress in the hat place. Okay. Which was doing good. Now she's leaving her practice in Portland. It's doing good. In 1878, age 38, she enrolled in the University of Michigan's medical school, and she received a Doctor of Medicine degree in 1880 at the age of 40.
Well, you can't dispute that.
Exactly. She then spent the following summer doing clinical and hospital work in Chicago and postgraduate work in the University of Michigan and touring Europe.
Wow.
So she said, look, if you're going to question me, I'll get what I need to do.
Right. I'm going to go on the tour of real medicine here.
Exactly. So pretty baller. In 1881, Owens returned to Oregon. She's often described as one of the first women doctor in the West. Her medical degree distinguished her from previous women practitioners who worked as physicians but lacked formal training. Her new specialty, she actually was diseases of the eyes and ears, with the majority of her patients still being women and children. Now, get this. Her son, George, then becomes a doctor.
Keep it in the family business.
Isn't that cool?
That is awesome.
At age 44 in 1884, she married Colonel John Adair, who was a childhood friend, who was also a farmer and land developer. Beth gave birth to a child in 1887 at the age of 47, but the child only lived for 3 days.
Sorry to hear that.
It's very sad. They then adopted 2 boys and then lived on a farm near Astoria, Oregon for 11 years. She had Beth ran a general practice as a country doctor, and at no time did she ever refuse a call, day or night, rain or shine. Pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Then she starts getting a little more political. She also campaigned against the brothels of Portland and supported the temperance movement, the likely result of her experience with the damage alcoholism caused with her family. She also advocated for women's health, making what some considered a scandalous suggestion that women forego restricting corsets and go out and exercise. And I love that it was scandalous.
Right, restricted corsets.
Yeah, get rid of those restricted corsets, go exercise. Like, how dare you?
How dare you tell me what to do with my corset?
At this time, her health took a little turn for the worse, and with rheumatism. So her husband suggested they might want to try a drier climate of North Yakima, Washington, where Owens, Adair's son, George, was practicing medicine. So they moved there, and she felt like it worked like magic, leaving her relieved of rheumatism and feeling 20 years younger. She found Yakima was relatively more open-minded about a woman physician. She was elected president of the Yakima Medical Association, reviving the organization and getting the doctors to pay their dues. So there she opens a practice, and she does that until October 10th, 1905. Owens Adair retired at 65, closing her office in Yakima and returned to Oregon to write her autobiography.
Dang.
Yes.
It's a full life by 65.
Oh, it gets better. Now we're going to turn to the part to where this is the part that I was like, hey, this was all really good so far.
Right.
Here's where it gets a little more
Good
fun.
character background.
A great character background. Because now, at this time, this is when she begins to take an interest in eugenics.
Okay.
Which is, from the late years of the 19th century, was being widely and enthusiastically discussed. It was touted as an improvement of the human race. Eugenics advocated the selective breeding of humans for intelligence and other praiseworthy qualities.
Oh, man, there's so many words in there.
Oh, yes. The flip side of this, which many in the movement considered more important, was the discouragement of breeding by inferior individuals, specifically by sterilization.
Oh, man.
Yep. In the first quarter of the 20th century, many right-minded, educated, and influential people, convinced of their own good intentions, believed that eugenic sterilization offered a solution to at least pay part of society's ills, or to the pesky poor people who behaved contrary to upper-class norms. Those included the mentally retarded, epileptics. So if you had epileptic seizures, you need to be sterilized.
Oh, man.
Those who were feeble-minded, insane, or just locked up. Also included, sadly, Hispanics, African Americans, and Jewish people. Yes.
And so she went from doing all that good stuff, and then she's just retiring, like, you know, I'm kind of bored. What could I do that's a little off my character? I'm gonna start doing some eugenics.
Yep. I'm gonna start raising the heck about this, getting everyone getting everyone excited about it. Yeah, she was a strong believer in hereditary. She felt that preventing such individuals from passing on their genes was a social necessity.
Oh, man.
So
she read like a pamphlet or something, like some
So
sort
many
of like
got to her.
handout, right?
Yep,
like
yeah.
something just, she got some bad info, or
Yes.
I don't know.
So soon, she was the preeminent advocate for eugenic sterilization in the Pacific Northwest. She joined with several other physicians in 1907 to lobby the legislation in both Washington State and Oregon for passage of a bill mandating sterilization of people committed to state mental institutions. The bill did pass in 1925. Now, here's the deal. She ended up writing 3 books. Human and Sterilization, 1910. Human Sterilization, the sequel. It's not called that. I like
sequel.
it. Like it's Human Sterilization. It's social.
Part 2.
Yeah, part 2. It was 1910. She writes the first one. 1922. She writes the sequel called Human Sterilization. Its social and legislative aspects.
Wow, she could have just done a little acronym or something.
Oh yeah, no. In the same year, she's like, nope. I'm writing a 3rd book, The Eugenic Marriage Law and Human Sterilization, also in 1922.
So what is human sterilization?
So basically, it's passed a law saying that like if, for some reason if you're deemed not of a certain breed or
Qualified
stock,
citizen or something.
yes, you're going to be sterilized. So meaning that it's castration. It's
you can't have kids.
you can't have kids. Yes, you can't have kids. They're going to find a way to fix it.
They either neuter you.
Yep, spay and neuter.
What in the world?
So get
Beth.
this. Oh,
I take it back.
oh, I know. This is the roller
What
coaster of
in the
emotions when I was
world?
researching this lady.
What?
Now, do you want to know who one of the big believers in eugenics was?
I don't know if I do.
One of her best friends, okay? One of the greatest. So basically, another big believer in eugenics who really helped get the movement going was John Harvey Kellogg of the cereal.
Oh my gosh.
He developed a market wide variety of vegetarian foods. Most of them were meant to be suitable for, he called them invalid people. Basically, it's intentionally made easy to chew and digest. So that's how the cereal came about, was he was trying to make cereal for people that, he thought, you can't have steak. It's too chewable for you. So you're going to have cereal.
I'm never eating cornflakes again.
Oh, the whole Kellogg, the whole thing, the eugenics thing, he spent After the cereal came out and got money from the cereal, he spent 30 years, him and Owens Adair, big on eugenics. When she did the sequel book, Human Sterilization and Its Social and Legislative Aspects, which was well received and brought her national recognition. Her writing reveals that she was motivated by a genuine concern for humans' well-being, and she was a proponent for one of the most infamous practices of eugenics, and it was the mandatory sterilization of those whom authorities found unfit to procreate. So at this point, if you're arrested or something like that, this goes down to prisons. We're not just talking about the mental ward. If you get arrested, you pickpocket somebody and the cop feels like, nah, I don't want you breeding.
Ah, but how did they, man?
So
you go to trial, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you're handing out sentences here, like,
if you're deemed unfit,
probation and sterilization.
Yep. Isn't that wild?
It's hard to wrap my head around.
Her books were so popular, they did help influence the Nazi party.
Just let that hang in there a little bit. Just let that sit there for a little bit.
Just messed up. Messed up that she wrote these things, and the Nazi party was like, yeah, it's like this is what we're talking about here. We want one race. They need to be from Nordic stock, because it actually says that in one of the legislations that they wanted Nordic stock people.
Man. How did that pass in Congress?
You had probably more white males voting for it than you did, any immigrants or anybody who wasn't,
Good grief.
Yes. So quite a turn. So in Owen Adair's philosophy, the unfit included criminals, mentally ill people, and those with developmental disabilities. And she recommended they be sterilized. The law passed in 1922. The sterilization law remained on the books until 1983 in Oregon, and caused the forced sterilization of over 2,500 people in Oregon's prisons and mental health institutions.
Until 1983? Until
1983. In 2002, Governor Kitzhaber made a formal apology who were made to be forcibly sterilized under this law. Her husband did die in 1915. She followed him September 11th, 1926 at the age of 86. Eugenics is still officially permitted in the United States today. Between 2006 and 2010, close to 150 women were sterilized in California prisons alone without approval.
Well, if that's not a Halloween story, I don't know what is.
You gotta love a twist. The funny part, I feel for her. They said that, one of the things I read about her was that, like her husband, she said that her first husband, who was abusive and alcoholic and just not good, she wouldn't have gone through that if his parents were castrated.
Well, that's what I was thinking. It probably stems back to her abusive relationship. Like, nobody should have kids with somebody like that.
Yeah.
Or that guy shouldn't, be able to breed or whatever. But
wild, huh?
Dang, man. I wasn't sure where that was. I was thinking, okay, this sounds like a nice lady. She's women's suffrage, open up her own medical stuff, and retiring, and gonna go knit some sweaters for the grandkids or whatever. And
it's been like 20 years of her life. I don't like certain types of people.
Yeah, the Nazi party, they do have a good message. I kind of align my same politics with.
Yeah, they love the eugenic stuff. They were all for it. It's a lot of their material made it into, sadly, the political party.
All right.
The last thing I'll end with Dr. Owens Adair is an excerpt from her, the introduction to actually her autobiography. So this was from 1906. She wrote this. In this day and age of progress and plenty, women are found in all pursuits of life, from the cradle to the grave. And it is hard now, and will be more so for women a century hence, to believe what their privileges have cost their early mothers in tears and anguish, as they ascended, step by step, that slippery and dangerous highway, clinging courageously to the rope, taking the slack here and there, never flinching and never turning back.
I want to believe that's some sort of good, poetic in there from a good person, but I'm a little conflicted on the inside how I believe about Bethany here.
Do you think if she was alive today, would she feel the same way?
Probably.
It's rough, isn't it? Yeah.
I guess it depends what life experience. I mean, if she went through the same life experiences, they should probably have the same values, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's just absolutely nuts. So that, by the way, that autopsy she did was the first one in Oregon performed by a female.
Wow.
That was the other thing there was a lot of stigma. So it wasn't so much desecrating the body, but it was a female doing it. And that's why, until Roseburg is like, get out of here.
Right.
But no, very interesting story, crazy life. And just the fact that she had a lot of ties to Roseburg and brought Susan B. Anthony
Oregon.
here.
Right.
But then her books probably got some publishing too. So,
well, I wonder if her books are still in publication. I'm sure someone
somewhere's got some books.
Yeah, something like that. But wow.
There you go.
Thanks, Mark.
That was a fun one.
That was interesting.
Yeah. I probably read more on this one than I did anything else because I couldn't believe what I was finding out.
Right.
But no, good stuff there. I wanted the eugenics thing. I went down. I probably read, I think 100 pages on that. And it just,
It's like a wormhole.
It's wormhole and it just makes you feel gross. And then you're just like, holy mackerel. And then to see some famous names attached to it.
Right.
Oof.
It's hard to believe that there was a period in history where anyone found it okay to do experiments on other human beings. And
Yeah.
the fact that in 1983 ain't that long ago.
No, it's not.
It's not that long ago.
And some states still
It's
haven't
still
repealed
doing
it.
it.
Yeah.
It's just,
You're okay in California. If you're a female and you're locked up in prison, you got to be careful. You know, it's just messed up.
it's crazy, but
I mean, Bob Barker was saying spay neuter your pets, but he wasn't saying spay neuter your,
No.
you're locked
he wouldn't
up.
say, come on down for that.
Yeah. The laws really were viciously written. I mean, when I was surprised at how vulgar some of them were written and to be passed into law and stuff.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well,
now,
good.
yeah.
All right. Let's transition.
Yes. Haunted places in Oregon. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll start off with kind of Halloween traditions around the world and how kind of Halloween started.
Yeah.
So apparently it first started in Ireland. It started in Ireland, and in Ireland, in rural areas, they actually light bonfires, which is what they kind of did centuries ago.
I love it.
Pretty similar to America here. Kids get dressed up in costumes. They spend the evening doing trick-or-treating in their neighborhoods. After trick-or-treating, they do parties and games. And one of the games they play, it's called Snap Apple, which reminds me of Snapple.
Oh,
Apple,
yeah.
Snap Apple.
Yeah.
It's a game that they tie a string on an apple and it's tied to a door frame or a tree. And the players attempt to bite the hanging apple from where it's at. In
Makes
addition, they do bobbing for apples. Parents often arrange treasure hunts with candy or pastries. They also play card games. Traditional food in Ireland is on Halloween something called barnbrick. It's a type of fruit cake that can be bought in the stores or baked at home.
Huh.
Children also play a game here in America, or I don't know, everyone else. It's called Ding Dong Ditch. I don't know if you ever played that as a little hoodlum child, but I sure did. But they call Knock a Dolly. A prank in which children knock on the doors of their neighbors and they run away before they get caught.
You know,
I cannot confirm or deny if I ever did that as a kid. Let's see here. In England, they celebrate not Halloween like traditional in like America, but they do something called Guy Fawkes Day.
yes.
I hope I pronounced it right. It's celebrated on October 31st, and they do lanterns, but they instead of carving pumpkins, they carve turnips, and they place them on their gateposts to protect their homes from any spirits that may be roaming around. But for the most part, English ceased celebrating Halloween with the spread of Martin Luther's Protestant Reformation.
Yeah.
Since the followers of the new religion didn't believe in saints, they saw no reason to celebrate it. However, in recent years, Halloween made a comeback. It's exciting. And
Probably the Guy Fawkes mask because that's V for Vendetta.
yeah, I guess so.
Love it.
But yeah, they now celebrate it kind of how we do it here and in Ireland, where kids go out and trick or treat. And other places such as Mexico, Latin America, and Spain, they celebrate El Dia de los Muertos. I don't know if I pronounced that right or if my Hispanic accent was on point.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting wrong guy.
So they actually have a 3-day celebration. They start on October 31st, and it culminates to November 2nd. It's officially commemorated on November 2nd, All Souls Day. They go to relatives' grave sites to tidy up the grave sites for the deceased family members. They snip the weeds. They make repairs. They paint any paintings.
Nice.
The graves are adorned with flowers and lots of sweets. Basically, the notion or the idea behind it is that the soul or the body is kind of getting, spirits are getting treats and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Acknowledgement. That's sweet.
I think of the movie Coco.
Yes.
Instantly think of that.
Coco's so good.
Those are some traditions around the world.
I like it. I know that I watched a History Channel special about Halloween. They said the bonfire thing.
Yeah, in Ireland.
Yeah, that's how they They think that that's how the whole thing with bats and cats got associated with Halloween was that
really?
the bonfires attracted bats, and then cats were attracted because the bats were there.
Okay.
And so that just
That
carried
makes
on.
sense.
Isn't that wild?
That's interesting. Some popular foods eaten this time of year, not just on Halloween, but
boy.
fall,
Yes.
brings caramel apples. I like caramel apples, but then my teeth,
Yeah.
stuff stuck in my teeth drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Apple bread, I don't, doesn't
That's
sound
fair, I
nice. Sounds
guess.
all right.
It's so lazy.
Candy corn. I know it's always like a mix
Yeah.
between people. Either people love candy corn or people hate candy corn.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not a big candy corn fan, but I'll tolerate it if it's snuck in there.
Exactly.
Caramel corn. I like caramel corn.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. And pumpkin bread. Pumpkin bread's good.
Pumpkin bread's. I like pumpkin flavored things.
Pumpkin
I'm a
bread's
basic
good.
white girl that way.
Yeah.
Pumpkin spice. I'm like, dang.
Yes. Pumpkin spice lattes.
Yes.
Oh man, I'm a
Man.
sucker for those.
Me too.
Those are so good. Even like pumpkin flavored beer. It's delicious.
Oh yeah. That you know.
This time of year.
It's
And especially today with the rain
Oh, yeah.
and the muck, you really just want to stay inside and eat pumpkin flavored things, drink hot pumpkin spice
Yes.
lattes, and enjoy doing nothing but listening to podcasts or watching movies. Or
I got a targeted ad from Sherry's. And when I say it's targeted, they know me. And it was like, hey, we got our pumpkin spice pancakes back.
Hey,
And I'm
Mark.
like, how dare
Hey,
you, Sherry's?
Mark.
Yeah. I thought that was pretty smooth with them.
yeah.
Do you feel that as you get older, there's certain foods that you ate as a kid that you're just like, man, it's not worth the struggle?
Yeah.
Because candy apples is one of those for me.
Yeah. I don't have a huge sweet tooth now, but when I was a kid, I used to eat all types of things like ding dongs, Twinkies,
Oh, yeah.
things like that. But even now, I can barely like get through a half a slice of cake. I'm like, sweets,
Yeah.
It's just kind of funny how your taste changes. I also have some places around Oregon that are reportedly haunted.
Yes.
The first one is in Fort Stevens, Battery Russell in Warrenton, Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
Fort Stevens landmark was built during the Civil War, but it also saw action during World War II when Japanese fired on it from the Pacific Ocean.
You said a Civil War?
Yeah, it was built during the Civil War.
Oh, okay. Because I
Yeah,
didn't
it was
think
built during
Oregon
the
was involved as much in the Civil War.
No, it was built during the Civil War.
Hey, if it gets over here, we got a fort.
Well,
Yeah.
they built a fort for
I love it.
for whatever purposes. So several reports there has been a ghost of a fallen soldier patrols the ground, although it's not clear which conflict the spirit stems from. So, I mean,
That's true.
maybe, who knows? Some have been reported seeing a man in a 40s era army uniform walking the promenade in nearby Seaside. We were just talking about Seaside,
Crazy.
which is right by Astoria. The next is Bush House Museum in Salem. The story goes Eugenia Bush, whose father, Ashel? Boy, you
Ashel?
pronounced that wrong, it goes the other way, man.
That's a name that hasn't stood up yet.
He built the mansion in the late 19th century. It reportedly haunts the Salem local by tinkering with the air conditioning and heating systems.
Wait a minute. Okay.
So if you're gonna, I feel like when you become a ghost,
Yeah.
you get like a certain like things they allow you to do.
Yeah.
Like here's your playing card. Like, okay, you can either like knock things off shelves or
Yeah.
you can mess with heating and air conditioning.
You're
He was an
right.
HVAC guy.
Yeah, you can scare the cat once in a
Right.
while. Okay, but here's the deal with this. I love that it's an electrical thing.
Right.
My thing is, like, did that comment come from the repairman who has like gets called out like, once a week?
Exactly.
Like, I just think you guys got a ghost. You're gonna have to
Right.
call me out every week to check on this.
Right, exactly. It's probably like in his business line, in case
Yeah.
you have a ghost,
Yeah.
call me. If a room feels nice and warm, only to go cold and induce chills, some say it's because the daughter of the man who once owned the Oregon Statesman still walks the halls.
Oh, wild.
Next, we have the Hasita Head Lighthouse Keeper's House. Okay. It's near Florence, Oregon. There are tales here revolve around that of Rue, the ghost of a woman that's been seen on the property since the 1950s. She was originally known as the Gray Lady.
Fair.
She is responsible for phantom footsteps and the mysterious opening of doors and windows reported by guests at the bed and breakfast. Rue is so named after the game of Ouija pointed to the letters R-U-E in search of the ghost's identity. So somebody played Ouija.
Wild.
And
You don't play Ouija boards.
And it came back pointing the letters R-U-E, and so they were able to identify the ghost. And I will never play Ouija. I don't care. Because that sounds creepy as get out.
I tried to research a Ouija board because I was like, wait a minute, how did this come into existence, right? The creepy part about Ouija boards is the patent for it was filed on the same day in 3 different parts of the world.
How is that possible?
That's the craziest part, right?
Yeah, who came up with the idea?
Well, so a lot of it say it ties back to gypsies. So there's early rumors that the gypsies, it was a thing that the gypsies used.
Yeah.
But the whole point, like literally the Ouija board, there was like a place, and I want to say it was New Jersey or someplace, but there's one place in America and 2 places in Europe on the same day, all filed patents for the Ouija board. That tripped me out when I read that. I'm like, how
that's
is
a story
possible?
In itself.
Isn't it though?
That's a story for... Yeah.
I feel like there's some demons campaigning for it. Like, look, we got to get this thing on the market.
Right. We need to
push it. Yeah.
Everyone trademark 1, 2, 3, go.
Yeah.
This next place is Highway 101 near Cannon Beach. This is the story. I actually saw a couple different tellings of the story. It's called The Bandage Man. The Bandage Man of Cannon Beach can be found in certain books, ghosts, critters, sacred places of Washington and Oregon. According to the legend, Bandage Man is an apparition wrapped in bloody bandages. Oof. He loves jumping in front of passing vehicles on their way to town. What in the world? Boy, I wonder why he became the Bandage Man.
No kidding. Wow.
This one is pretty familiar.
Yeah.
It's called the Benson Hotel in Portland. The Benson is reportedly home to multiple guests, the most prominent of which is the building's namesake. USA Today reported that Benson's ghost is sometimes seen in meeting rooms. It is mostly commonly by his penchant for knocking over visitors' drinks. The guy was as pro-prohibition as they come. A 3-year-old boy and woman wearing a turquoise dress also reported haunt the building. So
yes. So I did a ghost tour of downtown Portland a couple of years back, and it takes you through the Benson Hotel.
Yes.
And they actually and the hotel it's very old. It's very turn of the century. Very cool. Kept up real nice.
Did you get any inklings of chills or any felt like it was haunted or anything?
Nothing I saw, but the funny part was the guy leading the tour, we asked, I mean, you're like, oh, did you ever see anything like that? He said they did have one incident once when they were leading the tour through where the guy at the end of the line of the tour, he was holding the elevator for somebody. He's a little late behind. Like, what's going on? He goes, I was holding the elevator for that guy. There was no one there. They went back and watched. They actually went to security footage and they show him talking to someone, but there is nothing that he's talking to. I thought that was really bizarre.
Yeah, I don't do creepy things like that.
Oh, it was it was a creepy tour. They took us into the Shanghai tunnels.
Yes.
They had us go to where they would hang people, which is now a parking lot in downtown Portland. And the craziest part was we had these little EMF meters.
Oh, man.
And we all had them all on. So there's like 20 of us in the group, and it was and we're holding them up, and he goes, okay, hold them up here. And nothing's going. No one goes there. He goes, okay, I want you to go down to he goes where the boots would be, which is like 3 foot off the ground. All the meters went off like crazy. Part of me is like, they just got magnets maybe stuck underneath the parking lot or something, but it was not okay.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Our next one takes us still in Portland. It's the Roseland Theater. One of the theater's former promoters went missing in the 80s. His body believed to have been dumped in the Willamette River, tied down by microphone stands.
I saw Kevin Smith there.
The ghost of Tim Moreau still reportedly haunts the venue, angry at the theater's former owner, who allegedly ran a counterfeiting scam.
Oh, jeez.
An altercation between Moreau and Larry Hurwitz led to a 21-year-old publicist's ultimately untimely demise. That was before the venue was known as the Roseland. It was called Starry Nights. And much before the current management team bought the place, Hurwitz had served a 12-year sentence for murder.
It's tied. Now it's connected, yeah.
Dude, imagine, you're getting tied down with microphone stands and dumped into a river.
Wild. It's a pretty cool venue,
I'm glad you saw Kevin Smith there, though.
Yeah, I saw Kevin Smith there. That was really good. Really good. I love it.
This one is called Candy Cane Park because nothing sounds scary like a place called Candy Cane Park.
I'm not okay with this one. Go ahead.
La Grande, Oregon. Yep. After a barmaid was reportedly murdered in Candy Cane Park, She slid down the slide. Just kidding. In the 1980s, her spirit lingered to caution those who may wander in the area unprotected. She reportedly haunted the merry-go-round until it was removed in 2003. She now opts to walk around the grounds.
So wait a minute.
The merry-go-round.
Yeah, and they take it out? Oh, man.
Why haunt the merry-go-round?
That's wild. That's wild.
No. I wish I didn't read that one. Damascus, I probably didn't pronounce that right. Damash State Hospital. Anything state hospital related, you're going to get some sort of
there's some radiation.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks, Bethany.
Yeah.
This place is in Wilsonville. Before it was demolished in 2005, the hospital, a former mental institution, was reportedly a site with strange noises and fraud. It had disembodied footprints and a lot of keys jangling throughout the halls. This hospital even had a series of underground tunnels, making it for even a creepier legacy.
Underground tunnels, come on. Just every time you have underground
tunnels underneath a mental hospital.
Never meant for good stuff.
This takes us to Lafayette Pioneer Cemetery. There is a myth surrounding this supposed haunted revolves around the hanging of a witch in the cemetery in the late 1880s. The witch part of the equation has since been debunked. The clarification is just as gruesome. It goes, a convicted axe murderer named Richard Marple was hanged near the jail in 1887. His mother, Anna, was known as a gypsy by much of the town. She was somehow interpreted as her being a witch, and in many retellings, she was portrayed as the one who was hung. She died in the town of Jacksonville in the 1910s.
So wait a minute.
That's crazy.
That is, I love how like the witch part, like, actually it's not a witch.
She was a gypsy, but they thought she was a witch, and she ends up being the one who gets hanged.
That's wild. I'd love to know more about that one.
Crazy.
That's trippy, yeah. All right, before we go into the jokes, I know, places in Roseburg that are haunted.
Yes.
Okay, top 3 that I know of. Number 1 is always, they talk about the Parrot House.
Yes, and I have go ahead.
No, that's all I know. I know it's haunted. I've only eaten there once. What do you know about the Parrot House?
We ate there shortly after a friend passed away, and we were sitting in this dining room, and the place is beautiful. It's old. It's historic. It's such a cool venue. And as we were sitting there, it was probably like, I don't know, a month after she passed away, but we were all talking about her, and the lights start going flicker, 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 flicker. And I'm just like looking around like, did anyone else just see that? So the person next to me, I was like, did you just see that? And she was like, yeah, I saw that. But I didn't want to acknowledge it like any more than that, because I don't know how, sure, the lights can flicker, but the odd timing of that. And then talking with the wait staff, they will tell you that there are ghosts that will go up and down the halls, or there's like a spiral staircase that will go up and down the staircase. But that's my only experience with that.
That's crazy. No, the Parrot House, it's an old house that they converted to a restaurant. It's a swanky restaurant.
Yeah, I think the owner is looking into selling it now. So
hopefully it's not because of the ghost. The Roseburg Book and Stationery, which closed, I think, about a year ago.
Yeah, it's a couple years ago. Yeah, closed.
They were actually featured, I think, one of the local on a show once too, for being. They had upstairs, and they talked about all the activity they had upstairs there. Right. It's downtown. Downtown's got a lot of it.
Right. Older historical places.
Yeah. The third one, and one I've seen on a couple ones. This was on online too. I think of USA Today, was the Umpqua Bank in downtown Roseburg.
Yes, I was going to say that one. Yeah.
Yes, the reports of people hearing things opening and close, and then at night, they say if you can look one of the windows, the light comes on, and someone looks out the window.
Yeah, there's a lady that supposedly watches out the window. Yeah.
That's crazy. I knew some people who worked in that building. Yeah. And they said there's a basement there that was really spooky. They said really spooky energy.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're being watched even though there was no windows and things like that? Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah. I don't like any of that. The ghost tours. Oh, man. You did it was nighttime when you obviously did that.
Oh, yeah, you start at midnight. You start at midnight on the ghost tour down to it's a walking tour. Okay.
Oh my God.
The funny part was, being outside was easy because you're outside.
Right.
Only part that I actually got really tripped out about was the Shanghai tunnels.
Right.
Because
there's no real light.
There's no real light, and you're kind of cramped. And I'm being a nice guy, so I let all these people in first. Well, then all of a sudden that puts me back in the corner by myself, and it's just eerie chills and that kind of stuff. And the funniest part about it was I didn't like, this is like in the part in the movies where someone just disappears, right?
Right.
So there was this
First to
couple.
go.
I got separated from my wife. She was like 8 people up. Thanks for, waiting for me. But there was this couple and I was behind them. But to make sure I didn't disappear, I just kind of put my head on the guy's shoulder a little bit. Because like that way if something ripped me
friends,
away.
right?
Yeah, he's got exactly. And I just remember the guy like we were enough to where we could like pretty much kiss. But I'm like, no,
You don't hear anything, do
yeah,
you?
yeah, exactly. The Shanghai Tunnel was creepy. They ended on Voodoo Donuts, though. The whole part, like the whole tour leads to Voodoo Donuts, and you get a free Voodoo Donut.
Yeah, that's the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course,
Voodoo
I'm in.
donut, foot traffic.
I got a free donut at the end?
Hello.
What tour do you got?
Right. All right. Well, of course, we have to do some jokes.
Yes.
So I have some good dad Halloween jokes. I guess you can just say they're Halloween jokes. They don't have to be dad jokes. But first one is, how do vampires start their letters? Like their handwritten letters, like they're writing a letter.
Oh, like they're going to write a letter? How do
Yes.
vampires start
Yes.
a handwritten letter? I've got no idea.
Tomb it may concern.
Tomb, T-O-M-B.
Yeah, tomb it may concern.
Why? I love it. I'm down. I'm down.
Why are graveyards so noisy?
I got no idea.
Because of all the coffin.
That's a good one. That I like. That's pretty good.
Stupid. All right. How do you get rid of demons?
Demon away? I don't know.
Exercise a lot.
Good. It's good.
Exercise,
I approve that
exercise
one.
a lot.
Yeah.
I dropped my pumpkin yesterday. Jack-o'-lantern? More like crack-o'-lantern.
Oh.
All right. It gets better.
Okay.
Where do ghosts go on vacation?
Boozeville? I have no idea.
Malibu.
Malibu. That's good. I like that.
I wouldn't make a skeleton joke, but you wouldn't find it very humorous.
I like that one. Bethany would have found that funny because she, the anatomy stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm still trying to decide if I like Bethany or not.
Why don't you like Dracula?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
He's a pain in the neck.
Solid.
He's a pain in the neck.
Yep.
All right, last one. What's a vampire's favorite fruit?
I have no idea.
We need like a drum sound effect.
Yeah, I know, huh? But
nectarines.
Nectarines. Yes. That's pretty good. I'll use that one. I'll steal that one.
And that's it. And then this is when a large cane takes us off stage.
Exactly. Yeah. It gets all quiet. Here's someone coughing.
Right.
Yeah, one cough.
But that is our show today, folks.
Yes.
And I like to mention we have a Facebook Oregon podcast page that we'll be posting our episodes to, and you can check this out. We also have our Yahoo email. It's OregonFilesPodcast@yahoo.com. And we are now officially on Apple Podcasts. So if you weren't able to find us previously, we're now on Apple Podcasts and pretty much anywhere you get a podcast. Download, listen, subscribe, check us out, enjoy. Please don't take us too seriously. Hope you like it. So
That's right. Thank you for listening. Have a good one. Happy Halloween.
happy Halloween.